warm good morning to one and all. It's such a delight to welcome all of you to the 4th Triennial Congress of the Federation of Indian Geoscience Association FIGA 2025. We are truly honored to host this landmark event at the Indian National Center for Ocean Information Services, INCOIS, a hub of innovation excellence. INCOI stands at the forefront of ocean science and services, empowering society through data, technology, and services. As part of the 4th Triennial Congress of the Federation of Indian Geosciences Association, hereby we are beginning with the plenary talks. This session will be chaired by Dr. V.M. Tiwari, the President of FIGA and the Director for CSIR NEIST. Dr. V.M. Tiwari is the Director and J.C. Bose National Fellow at CSIR NEIST, India. Sir, please come to the... He serves as the Vice President of the Indian National Science Academy and Bureau Member of IUGG. Previously, he directed the CSIR NGRI and CESS. He holds a PhD in Geophysics from the Banaras Hindu University, specializing in gravimetry, hydrology, and geodynamics. Dr. Tiwari has received numerous honors: ONGC AEG Best Thesis Award, Young Scientist Award, Krishnan Gold Medal, and national awards from the Ministries of Mines and Earth Sciences. He is a fellow of all the 3 Indian Science Academies and serves on various national and international committees. We cordially welcome you, sir, to chair the session.
Very good morning, plenary speakers, delegates, and invitees. It's a great privilege for me also to welcome all of you in today's morning session. This is an opportunity I got because of the delay of Honorable Secretary, Ministry of Earth Science, to welcome all of you to this plenary session and invite Dr. K. Shivkumar Kalyanaraman, the Chief Executive Officer of Anusandhan National Research Foundation. It's the first CEO of ANRF, which aims to strengthen India's R&D ecosystem and foster a culture of innovation across academia, industry, and research institutions. Formerly, he was the Chief Technology Officer for Energy Industry Asia at Microsoft. He is a distinguished alumnus of IIT Madras and Ohio State University and fellow of IEEE and INAE. So with this, may I request Dr. Kalyanaraman to deliver his plenary speech.
Good morning, and it's an honor to be amongst you. And FIGA as a triennial event, as I learned, is quite special. Thank you to Dr. Tiwari for inviting me. He was very persistent that I should show up here, and thanks to his persistence, and thanks to Director here as well for hosting me. It's so wonderful to see all of you. So I thought I will, how many of you know about ANRF? Maybe it's a simple question. Okay, so okay, it's a good fraction of the audience, but hopefully for the others. So first, ANRF is a statutory body of the Government of India. By the way, this 2D barcode here is my LinkedIn thing. If you'd like to connect with me, you're welcome to scan and connect. So I'll leave it on for a second while I talk about ANRF. ANRF is a statutory body of Government of India, which means it's formed by Act of Parliament in 2023. And it's a special statutory body. There are other statutory bodies in the Government of India, but this one is chaired by the Honorable Prime Minister because the PMO views this as a pillar of the Viksit Bharat initiatives. And our goal is to really capitalize India's rise as a research and innovation powerhouse. I mean, it's really high time that India stepped up to this role, and we have no shortage of talent, no shortage of capability, but then we have to come together as a collaborative, come together for impact on various areas. So ANRF is formed to cut across all silos, cut across all stakeholders, whether it's in academia, labs, industry, the venture community, startups, what have you, or as well as the international community. So, so our primary sort of mechanism in this is funding. So you may have also heard of the 1 lakh crore announcement made by the Honorable Prime Minister, the RDI fund that was established just 2-3 days back on 3rd it was announced. So that is also being operationalized through ANRF with the DST as the nodal ministry which works with us. So, so ANRF will be the channel that the government uses for significant amount of research funding and also to do bigger and bolder things for impact. So if I were to leave you with one message, I will be thinking backwards from impact in everything that I do. So we will, and also we will be changing the processes of ANRF to select projects that have potential impact, govern projects for impact. Okay, gone are the days of fund and forget models, so we will be focusing that I will not forget. Okay, we will ensure that there will be more focus, but at the same time, we want to ensure there's a right balance between the nature of impact that one expects from basic sciences versus the nature of impact one expects from applied sciences or translational is different. So we are sensitive to that. I myself am a former, I used to be a professor. I have a deep admiration and respect for basic sciences. Without deep science, there's no deep tech. So we will both invest as well as double down our investments in across all parts of the spectrum. More specifically, we will invest in basic sciences significantly as well. And there'll be more money for basic sciences. So there's a confusion that because of ANRF, somehow we will forget about basic sciences. That is absolutely not true. Okay, so I just wanted to mention that, but at the same time, we will be asking for basic science to step up their game, think bigger, work together, whether within their own disciplines or across disciplines for impact. So this is going to be the broad thing. So one word, impact, and the other word, catalysis, or we want to be a catalyst. As a true catalyst, we want to spark reactions. We want to lower the activation energy, reduce frictions. Okay, you can pick the right analogy. That makes sense. As well as enable collaborations of various kinds, and also through all the way from the basic sciences through scaling up towards India as a product nation, right? So we have an entire spectrum to cover. There are a lot of expectations on ANRF. I will outline how we plan to go about that. Okay, so that's my job. So the Honorable Prime Minister has introduced the word Jai Anusandhan and also elevated to the same level as Jai Kisan, Jai Jawan and Jai Vigyan. So I think it's important that this sends a clear message, as clear as it can be, that Anusandhan or research innovation and what is in our human brains and the potential of that as the foundation for Viksit Bharat. Okay, so we are a pillar for Viksit Bharat, and at the same time there is a crying necessity to broaden the distribution of excellence away from a narrow sliver of institutions, which many of us have had the privilege of going to, towards a much more broader set of institutions where the bulk of our human resources are being trained and so on, right? So, so we will be weaving this as part of all our programs as well as initiatives, okay, as we go forward. So the genesis of ANRF is from the national education policy, where it was felt a need for an institution like the National Science Foundation or DARPA or the National Research Foundation in Singapore or DFG in Germany or UKRI in UK and so on, which operates across institutions, across ministries, not beholden to the compulsions of any single ministry, as well as operates in a persistent, continuous manner, focuses on ease of science, enables collaboration across various stakeholders and so on, right? So that's the original genesis, but also it, as a national education policy document, it was meant to also give a fillip to interdisciplinary sciences, interdisciplinary capabilities, which were falling through the cracks of any single ministry's funding. Right, so that was the original genesis, but as it has become part of the act between then and 2023, the cabinet also deliberated on various other aspects that it should also do mission mode programs similar to how DARPA operates and focus on impact and the conversion of that impact towards the economy or societal benefit, right? So we have two separate sets of goals. How do I have a foundation of science and in various areas, and then how do I convert that science towards impact through mission mode programs, right? So those are the two kinds of things we do. And now beyond that, when you have something that goes towards the mid TRL, how do I then scale it up? And RDI is focused on private sector to become a partner to scale up that innovation. And then this will also crowd in a lot more capital. The 1 lakh crore that the government puts in will, if history is any guide of what we have done in SIDBI and so on, will have a multiplier effect of anywhere from 3x to 5x or even up to 10x. So we intend to see that kind of thing. So what that will mean is in the real economy, we'll see up to 10 lakh crores potentially invested in this. Okay, so a wall of money that is coming in the private sector, but then there has to be a pipeline and a top of the funnel from deep science towards this as well. Okay, so the governance structure is a governing board that is chaired by the Honorable Prime Minister, and we have the Minister of Science and Technology and the Minister of Education as the vice presidents of our governing board. We have the Executive Council chaired by the Principal Scientific Advisor, who will be here with us shortly, and I report to the Executive Council for my work. So the governing board met last year. We are going to have another meeting shortly, again to review the progress over the last year and so on. So governing board meets approximately once a year, but then the executive council meets every couple of months nowadays. So this is a one-slide summary of ANRF. So as I mentioned, we use two different mechanisms. One is a grant in aid mechanism, which means I give money and I don't expect it back, okay? But at the same time, I expect impact, I expect outcomes, and so on. So this is used to drive foundational transformation at the earlier stages, set the stage, and at the same time do mission mode research, bringing together the various institutions in India, and so on, and encouraging industry-academic partnerships and public-private partnerships and so on. And we intend to catalyze private investments or non-government investments. I'll give you an idea of what we're doing in those spaces, but we'll see a lot more happening there as well. This is grants. Okay, RDI is not a grant. RDI is a larger pool of capital. It's a fund. It is called patient capital. It is not a grant, which means that it's the taxpayer money, your money, which we are investing in private sector. We expect the money back, so it's a form of capital. Now that capital could be a loan, it could be soft loans, it could be a debt, convertible debentures, it could be hybrid structures, it could be equity, it could be any of these things which falls in the balance sheet. Okay, at different tiers from senior debt to this thing, right? So, and here the government is not the investor directly. We are setting up second-level fund managers, in various structures called AIFs, alternative investment funds, or focused research organizations and the like. Okay. Now all these details are available on the web. It has been announced, and I've also put out LinkedIn posts and other things. So I would urge you to please follow us. If there's one message I will urge this community is to become a little bit more savvy on social media. ANRF will be extremely savvy in social media, and we'll be pushing all our information through every channel, right? Pick your social media channel that is of interest, but please follow us, right? Because we will be on a daily basis, we are putting out information and on every couple of weeks I'm launching new programs and so on. So, and we'd like you to be responsive as well as proactive for these. So RDI is for translation and scale up. It is for private sector. It is not a grant program, and ANRF is not the capital allocator. We pick the capital allocators and let them do their jobs, get out of their way, right? But we, of course, we expect them to be governed well, and we expect them to report to the Executive Council so that we can govern your taxpayer money on that, right? So this is a very bold and very decisive and very different way of operating. Nowhere in the world is this done. National Science Foundation does not have a capital fund like this. Neither does DARPA or so on. So India is the first country in the world doing this. Okay. So the RDI involves taxpayer money coming from the Central Consolidated Fund of India through the anchor ministry, in this case DST. So as I said, we have grant capital coming to us for our ANRF fund, innovation fund, all of that for my grants program, which is the lower level of the TRL spectrum. And then the RDI is a loan. I get a 50-year loan from DST from the central government. So that it's 20,000 crores every year, the government is the taxpayer is expecting it back. Okay, so obviously that has to be invested into various what we call second level fund managers of different kinds, those fund managers can be alternative investment funds, which can be a mix of sort of venture capitalists coming together or venture debt funds. It can be development financial institutions. It can be even corporates working together, and so on. There are different structures. There are focused research organizations that can be sector specific. Some statutory bodies like TDB and BIRAC are floating FROs, so we expect other FROs to pop up in different areas as well, which are the areas which have been defined by RDI. So the sectors and subsectors are also available in the public domain, and I've posted that on LinkedIn. Again, a hint that it's if you want to be up to date, please follow us on LinkedIn. It can also be a multi-level fund, a deep tech fund of funds as well, with one more level of hierarchy. So that can create greater multiplier effects, right? So and then this money can go to a variety of end entities, and all of them must be controlled by resident Indians, so that the money goes and is invested in resident Indian control entities, etc. Right? So that the IP is created in India, the jobs are created in India, manufacturing facilities are created in India, and so on. Right? It's part of all our national sovereignty strategy as well. And at the same time, we are welcoming global capital to come and partner at the second level fund managers and so on. Right? You may have seen some announcements recently of various entities that are organizing to bid for this thing, and of course they will all be evaluated on a merit basis as they come together. So the ANRF Executive Council appoints these. There's an empowered group of secretaries chaired by the Cabinet Secretary that governs this. So we have a robust and at the same time lean and efficient governance structure for this. So this is patient capital. So in terms of the grant programs, I have two ways in which we work. One is called a horizontal way. It is ANRF horizontal. Think of this similar to National Science Foundation, where we are supporting in broad-based grants, such as our ARG program and many other programs like the PM ECRG, the Young Career, Early Career Research grants, and we give lots of fellowships, such as hundreds of postdoctoral fellowship or Ramanujan fellowships and other programs like the JC Bose Awards. All of these are parts of our horizontal investments that we make. And then the vertical investments are more mission mode programs, which are more directed investments in specific sectors, either by economic goals or by societal goals. Okay, and we also intend to have a lot more public-private partnerships as part of doing this. I'll give you some examples as I go along. So overall, you can look at the horizontal as a foundation, right? So we also have foundations such as societal and social sciences and humanities at the interface of science and technology, and various capacity building and science excellence R&D support. And then verticals are verticals by upliftment, such as our pair programs and others, which are focused on broadening the distribution of excellence of our institution and so on, and our mission mode research programs. And we'll be announcing many more programs around the industry academic collaboration and so on. And the ANRF as an apex institution, we'll be putting out a lot of open data platforms, dashboards, and tools such as and platforms like Saral AI, which I'll briefly talk about later, to facilitate collaboration. And we'll be putting out also open model agreements for technology transfer. We are also setting the stage for open licenses. We have done ANRF open license for our program in AI and so on. So we'll be doing open design licenses and for some other programs. So this can ease the technology transfer from one institution to the other and make life easier, so that the benefits percolate faster in the real economy. Okay, and these are some examples of our programs that sort of fit into this sort of Greek Acropolis picture. So just some examples of the program. PAIR is an example of a hub and spoke program. Oh, wow, it's quite blurred here. Okay, so we have, for example, University of Hyderabad is one of the hubs here, which has a bunch of spokes, and they have a specific focus around healthcare, for example. IISc is a hub, they have spokes all around India, and the spokes are typically state universities. Almost 70-80% of them are state universities. 70% of the funding of the program goes towards the spokes. This helps establish infrastructure. It also sets up incentives and accountability on the hubs to help develop the spokes so that it drives intellectual upliftment of these spoke. And we'll be doing many more of these going forward. So we have funded a couple of categories of these hub and spoke programs, and then we will be governing these for impact as well. So the early career research program is for the early career folks. We fund hundreds of such grants, and this year's PMECRG is currently open for proposals, and again we do it towards the late part of every year. So again, my goal is to also potentially expand these programs over time as we raise more capital. So the EV mission mode program, I will give you some more examples. It's an example of industry academic collaboration in a specific vertical of interest. So the mission mode is an example of how we are doing DARPA style, more vertically focused areas. We pick areas that are of importance to our national priorities, as well as what we have called out in RDI, and we are going to be doing mission mode programs across many of these. So I keep joking that I come from Bangalore. We have Rameshwaram Cafe there, which dishes out dosas very fast. So like we in ANRF are dishing out mission mode and other programs. Every month I'm launching either one or two programs of this kind. So like dosas, right? So we did an electric mobility program. We've launched a program on 2D materials. We've launched a program on medtech. All of this in the last 3 months. Okay, and also a program on AI for science and engineering, which should be of interest to this community because we have one of them specifically in partnership with the MoES as well, which has weather and climate and so on. And the goal there with open licenses is to have open data or open models. So there's an example of that AI for science and thing. The other thing you can do is also to engage a larger community. We have challenges and contests track where using the great data sets that you may have here in INCOIS and others, so you can actually define challenges. So I'd encourage the people here to come and help define challenge programs which the broader community can respond and respond to that. So we intend that this will lead to a whole bunch of public goods in terms of models, science models, engineering models, all the way to open digital twins for various verticals and so on, right? So that's an example of how we do these programs. It's also in collaboration with various entities such as MoES. We have partnered with DRDO, we have partnered with DBT, with MIT, and so on. So it's like all of government coming together. So just like we collaborate at the government level, we are also collaborating with the private sector. So we are lining up private sector partners to collaborate with us and so on. So anyway, I will not go through each one of these things, but just to give you a flash through some various mission mode programs that we have launched, MedTech, PAIR, which I mentioned, which is currently operationalized, and we have sent out the funding. So the other important thing that I do is we make sure that we send out the money. So unlike some of the other ministries, I have already sent out the money. You cannot complain that I have not sent out the money. Okay, so number one goal for me was to get the money out of the door. So similarly, for many other programs we are launched. Okay, so all of this has been launched in the last few months. We are going to be having these platforms as well, which are going to be a master platform for research and innovation in India. This is a concept, but we are currently in the process of building this, so they will be built out in stages. Some elements of this I will be giving. So for example, we are using social media as a strategic tool to help dissemination as a first-class medium for dissemination of technical content, not just for marketing or PR, right? So we'd like you to take your primary content and then create secondary content, tag us at ANRF, we will celebrate, we will amplify our work and so on and so forth. And we are also using that to address, I'm solving problems on UCs, SEs and things like that on social media as well. One of the important initiatives we are doing is called Saral AI. It is done in collaboration with IIIT Hyderabad, which is just next door right here. And this is something which I would request all the scientists here to kindly consider adopting, because if you don't adopt, I'm going to make it a requirement if you get my money to use these sorts of tools, because the goal here is to take technical papers. Scientists are great at writing technical papers, but they're not necessarily great at being on social media, but Saral tries to bridge that with a one-click option, right? So you write papers, click a button, it will create YouTube videos, it will create LinkedIn posts, it will create Twitter posts and things like that. Same thing we are doing for patents. We can convert to posters, we can convert to podcast, other sorts of things. And this is all part of a larger initiative of creating open publishing and better dissemination. This is also a form of impact where more people, this is part of our goal of democratizing research from esoteric publication platforms to broader platforms. And as a national initiative, we'll be doing many more things. And this part of a broader community platform, we are thinking about, again, AI-driven and so on. So I come from an AI world, so we are bringing the best of AI into all our practices, as well as, in these sorts of, as part of a capability to empower and democratize our research institutions. Okay, so we are also raising capital from not just from ourselves. We are partnering with foundations like the Gates Foundation, the Vadvani Foundation. I have a long list of partners who want to work with us. So we are carefully organizing this so that we control the programs in national interest, and then we invite partners to come and partner with us in these various programs. Like, for example, I have the AI program. We have entities that can partner with us. We do value their input and advice, but we control what goes into the program, how we run the programs, and so on. So that's the right balance that we think we should strike as we go forward. So this expands the amount of capital, so there is going to be no shortage of money for programs and so on. So we'll be, what we're doing right now, the next year we'll have more money, the next year we'll have more money and things like that, right? So my key shortage is not of money, it's going to be of people, it's going to be of, sort of talent, it's going to be of ideas, and it's going to be of people who are saying. So in the US, for example, the community engages with National Science Foundation, the community engages with DARPA, they come spend time, etc., and so on. So I'd like you also to do that, but even if you want to remain where you are, please connect with the ANRF in all our social media, follow us, and be engaged. There are various ways of contributing, whether through committees or other ways as well. Okay, but with that, Jai Hind, and thank you.
Thank you very much. To keep the time, we know that we have a very pressing now session, having two more speakers to go. Can we take one or two questions, if you permit? Please. Though he has given the LinkedIn connect, but still, if there are one or two pressing questions, we can take it. Yeah, Chalpati.
I just noticed from your pie chart, for Earth Science, the allocation in startup grant is only 4%, actually.
Sorry, allocation for
Allocation
what?
of the startup grant fund for Earth System Science is only 4%. It is actually nothing compared to other sciences. We are in a very big way. I think it should be enhanced, and I also feel in Inspire programs and all, Earth Science actually, Tiwari knows, the allocation of grants are very less compared to other sciences. I think you may consider that, because we have direct implications for societal aspects than many other branches.
Yeah, look, I think all of these are done on merit, and I would encourage the Earth Sciences Committee to recommend more proposals to us. So maybe your committees are not recommending enough, or we are happy to take more. So I would urge either more proposals to come in or more things. So it's not like I don't want to give. You guys need to tell us which proposals. I'm not an expert in your area, right? So the point is well taken. I don't allocate money. I take all good projects and I'll fund as many as I can. So you guys need to also give me more projects to fund. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Professor Singh.
Thank you very much for a nice presentation, and thank you for funding me, who I'm here because of ANRF. We applied for this position 4 years ago. It took 3 years to get through. So my question is, how efficient you are now that it took 3 years, and now the grant is very fast. It gets done in a couple of weeks. So first point. Second point is that in Earth Sciences, we have Ministry of Earth Sciences, as well as DST. What is the interaction of ANRF with respect to Earth Sciences as well as DST, and how are you going to decouple, and who will be applying to you rather than going to Earth Science Department, Ministry or DST?
Yeah, an excellent question. To your first question, sir, I can't take responsibility for what happened in the past. I can only take responsibility for what I'm doing. and I can guarantee you that I've sent all the money from my end, okay? So, and we will be ahead of the curve, and I have actually more money to give than programs right now. So that's the current state of affairs. I come from the private sector. I don't take any prisoners. We just get things done, right? So, we will be moving really fast going forward. So your past experiences may not be a good guide for the future. So hopefully there'll be a different experience. But that is taken. We will be continuing to maintain vigilance on, making sure that funds flow consistently and easily. And we are doing a lot of things on ease of doing science across, right? So there are several burdens that the principal investigators here face that I'm not aware of. When I was a principal investigator in the US, I never faced all this UCSC and other nonsense that our people are facing here. So we are currently doing an initiative to take away the load of principal investigators and move it to sort of nodal officers. So for all the directors in the room, I would urge each one of you to nominate an administrative nodal officer to work with ANRF, and we will concentrate all the administrative headaches with them. And if you have anything pending with us, we will have a nodal officer on our end. We will solve it instantly, okay? So we are trying to set it up so that the burden on our principal investigators is dramatically reduced, okay? So again, this is a plea to all the things. So our ease of doing science, we're going to do many things to sing, and I can also, report positively that, money flowing is going to be less challenging than in the past. Coming to your other question, ANRF is an apex institution across all of the ministries. We are a statutory body, which means that we are not part of any single ministry. Just like when Nandan came and set up Aadhaar, there was a statutory body called UIDAI that has developed Aadhaar, did one thing really well. We want to do funding really well, right? So rather than doing many things badly. So that's the focus of our institution. So what that means is that, since I'm across everyone, it doesn't mean that I'm taking away the role of any particular ministry. The line ministry will continue to fund their things. For example, in the area of medtech, the line ministries like DST and ICMR funded a lot of medical technologies innovations at the lower levels of TRL or at small scale. We came together and formed a mission mode program to do larger things. So think of us as doing two things. One is we're doing broad-based programs like ARG we have earth sciences as one of the verticals over there. Similarly, earth sciences for all our horizontal program, earth sciences, earth and atmospheric sciences, one of our verticals, right? For mission mode programs, it'll get weaved into a particular mission. For example, in my AI for science and engineering, we have a track. Thanks to Secretary Ravichandran, we are able to do a track on, sort of weather and climate modeling, for example, as a specific area. Thank you, sir, for partnering with the ANRF on this. He's also part of my board as well. So DST is focused on, say, geospatial. They have a geospatial mission. So I don't go and interfere in their mission, but wherever you have a deep ocean mission, you have a thing under the thing. So wherever the line ministries have their own missions, we don't intervene. But wherever there's interdisciplinary connections, we focus more on the cross-disciplinary, cross-ministerial connections in our focus. So if that can be helped, we aim to be complementary. We want to do big things, and at the same time, at the basics of science and engineering, we have core programs where we support. Hope that translates.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you.
Sorry to being an interruption between you and the audience, but we have the time constraint, and now we have a privilege to listen Professor Chris Rizos, who is going to deliver a talk on Geodesy, Geospatial Technology, and the IUGG. Chris is President of International Union of Geodesy and Geophysics. He is also an emeritus professor in the School of Civil and Environmental Engineering at University of New South Wales and co-director of Satellite Navigation and Positioning Lab. He is a global expert in satellite navigation, geodesy, and positioning technologies, and has made significant contribution to the development and application of GNSS and geospatial systems. Chris continues to advance the research in the precise positioning, Earth observation, and space navigation. With this, may I invite Chris Rizos for delivering his lecture. Chris, you have 25 minutes, 5 minutes for interaction. 25 minutes and then 5 minutes.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much. I apologise for... okay. I apologise for the disruption to the schedule. I've just flown in. The travel connections were not as smooth as they should be. But I'd like to thank the organisers for giving me the opportunity for speaking about topics that I am quite passionate about, and I do hope I can, through this presentation, also interest you in some of these topics and to identify the threads and the connections that there are between earth science, geospatial, and the major challenges that we are facing here on Earth and in the community. To put it into context, before I start explaining what the various aspects are and give you my descriptions of what I believe are the strong connections and the trends that are happening that are relevant to everybody, I'll just perhaps introduce myself in a slightly different way to the way Virendra has introduced me. Being president of the International Union of Geodesy and Geophysics is a privilege, and I'll explain a little bit later about how that actually feeds into my other interests. And as a graduate student, I started geodesy. I started satellite geodesy, in fact, satellite oceanography, with using radar altimetry missions. But I've been a geodesist all my life, and including being a former president of the International Association of Geodesy. Now, what happened then, about 40 years ago, is I got interested in GPS. From GPS, it led to GNSS, Global Navigation Satellite Systems. And then more recently, of course, into positioning, navigation, and timing as a general capability, a little bit technologically divorced from the satellite systems, but nevertheless still important in its relationships to how today's society functions and how it values position, location, and of course also the geospatial technologies and products. So I was a member of the International GNSS service, and that really gave me insight into how the global infrastructure, as well as your global technologies, your constellations, your satellites, how they have been able to address the requirements initially of science and then ultimately also delivering to society. I'm also currently a member of 2 Australian Academy of Science committees, one on space science and one on earth science. So that straddles my interests, earth science on the one hand, and satellites and satellite technology and applications on the other hand. And finally, my profession is as a surveyor, and I have been head of the School of Civil and Geospatial Engineering at UNSW for many years, and therefore I'm able to sort of, in a sense, straddle from the geodesy right through to the geospatial. And I'm also excited by what geospatial is able to deliver. So let's start with the International Union of Geodesy and Geophysics. It's an old organisation. It's actually an umbrella organisation, a shell, under which we have 8 semi-autonomous associations which deal with some of the more fundamental geosciences. They don't do earth system science or ecological science because in 1919 that sort of science was not in fashion. It was volcanology, seismology, atmosphere, oceanography, geomagnetisms, and geodesy. And these are the 8 associations. Now, what do? They set research agendas. They promote and organise campaigns, measurement campaigns, analysis campaigns into comparison of techniques. They push the sciences ahead by harnessing the work of the community. We don't pay anybody The IUGG doesn't employ anybody. The IUGG doesn't hand out any grants. People, the scientists themselves from all over the world, work on their own projects, and sometimes they work together with other scientists. And that's why a chart like this, we have here the 8 associations, and you can see them in alphabetical order, and the second one is the International Association of Geodesy. Here you've got the 8 across the top, and now we look under the bonnet, so to speak, and we start to see where are the research agendas embedded and how they evolve over time, particularly in a 4-year cycle that we have with change of the leadership and general assemblies and so on. And the arrow points to the second one, the IAG, and in particular, what is almost unique about Geodesy is this large group of services. That is, they produce data, they archive data, they produce products, higher level analysis of data that comes from space missions, that comes from various sources. So the research agendas are defined up here, but the services are also quite cutting edge. Now that makes Geodesy, puts Geodesy, I should say, in a rather unique position, because it can now actually deal with governments, deal with regions. It can provide something valuable to other scientists, not just in Geodesy, but also, you know, the seismology people can use them, the oceanography people, and so on and so forth, as well as society. And in that respect, it's actually able to broker how investments made at national levels can be stitched together into global observing systems, global analysis services that actually still have a strong scientific basis, in the sense that they're very competitive. They always want to improve their performance, their accuracy, their reliability, their timeliness. So they're not standing still, they're not delivering products like a commercial company would. In fact, they compete with each other to push the science. So that's a sort of an interesting model that is not shared by many of the other earth sciences that we have here. So, I've introduced the IUGG, I've introduced the IAG, which is the International Association of Geodesy, and how it is structured. But what exactly is the science? And how is the science of value to not just other scientists and other science fields in addressing challenges, which we can list later on, but also how they can benefit society. The definition of geodesy, there it is, that's the classical definition. It's a branch of science dealing with size, shape of the Earth, position of points on, above, or within the Earth, orientation of the Earth, and the variable gravity field. It sounds a bit dry there, but that's your classic textbook definition. What I believe is more the contemporary capability-based definition is a geoscience that contributes to our understanding of the dynamic solid Earth, cryosphere, atmosphere, and oceans using a variety of technologies, measurements, and analysis methodologies. Now that last bit that's tacked on is really where you start to see the leakage or the connection between the science, the geoscience that wants to understand the Earth and its processes, and the tools and capabilities that actually have wider applicability. So I've got a few slides. One is on methodology, one is on capability, and the other one's on toolkits, leading to sort of give you an overall impression of the variety of parameters that can be studied that deal with the Earth's the Earth components, solid Earth, and the fluid envelope. So the methodology is that from the very beginning, going right back to the 19th century, and you could almost say this is a colonial project as well. We shouldn't shy away from the fact that those countries that were making maps and were determining gravity and the shape and size of the Earth were doing it for not just for the benefit of mankind in the broadest sense, but basically for trade, for war, for taxes, and for construction. So there always was national component, then the aggregation into regions to try to determine some more scientific components of the knowledge that needed to be put to better use. And then globally, I think probably it's fair to say since the space age. And then for that, cooperation is really what makes the geosciences of value, because you can't really study just necessarily a small area without also having inputs from beyond those sort of magical or virtual boundaries. Another thing about modern geodesy, and I put the word modern because there is classical geodesy. When I was an undergraduate student and postgraduate student, we did learn about the classical, the Bomford textbooks and things like this, about astronomy and a whole range of other things. But modern geodesy, it's about, as I said, cooperation, not just observations, but also analysis and missions, and they are expensive. And the missions now include more and more space technology. So we're dealing with space agencies, significant investments, including from ISRO and ESA and NASA and JAXA and so on and so forth. And these may be Earth observation missions, but which also have a geodesy component, for example, INSAR, gravity mapping, altimetry, particularly for ocean studies, and the GNSS, of course, which is, if you like, the jewel in the crown of geoscience. The third component is that when we're dealing with ever more accurate analysis, more finer resolution, finer scale, we need to be able to stitch this insight, these parameters, if you like, these solutions together over time. And the classic example is sea level rise. You cannot detect sea level rise from 2 years of observations. You need 40 years worth. And you've got to make sure that over that 40 years you're not introducing biases that will distort the record. Hence, the geodetic reference frames. So the attention paid to making sure that the ever more precise, ever more accurate solutions and insights that geodesy is providing for the dynamic Earth, they can be actually interpreted as being truly parameters that reflect the dynamics of the Earth rather than just being sloppy measurements as we keep changing and upgrading the technology. And the fourth one also, I think I hinted at the earlier slide, is the evolution of geodetic services, which has now become one of the most important differentiators in geodesy, and also one of its most valuable roles that it plays, and one of the strongest reasons why geodesy is attracting more and more national and international funding and attention right up to the UN General Assembly. Now, put in a little box there, there's also, that might resonate with those people in the audience who are from a geospatial background, the applied mathematics, the statistical skills, measurement methodologies, modeling, rigorous estimation, calibration, error analysis, and so on. These are sort of things that are in our DNA, starting from the surveyors, going all the way up to the geodetic scientists. So I've already sort of said that this is the direction where this talk is going to go to. Geodesy is a foundation capability for the geospatial representation of three-dimensional position via any type of spatial representation. And if you take it with it over time, then you get your fourth dimension as well. So the toolkits, this is just another way of expressing some of what I've just said in previous slides. The toolkits are actually very broad. Geodesy is not just about gravity mapping. It's not just about GNSS. There's radio telescopes, very long baseline interferometry, satellite laser ranging, the Doris system. These are what we call the geometric positioning techniques, but they're actually fundamental to the definition of the reference frame, although GNSS has far more value and applications than the other three. Then we've got the mapping missions when we're dealing with radar and laser altimetry and GNSS reflectometry. These are not strictly your photogrammetry and remote sensing, although there is obviously now an overlap when I talk about Earth observations. I actually say geodesy is an Earth observation science, and people who come from a traditional Earth observation world, be they environmentalists or whatever, just roll their eyes and they say, how is that possible? Geodesy deals with numbers. We deal with pretty pictures and images and analysis. And I'm saying, well, you know, the explosion in imaging and observation and measurement, sensing, imaging technologies has meant that we have a lot more tools that we can use. For example, topographic mapping, including the changes in the surface, such as, for example, deformation. We have atmospheric sounding, particularly GNSS is perhaps one of the most radical tools that have been developed for supporting meteorology, and gravity mapping, which has many applications in water and ice, ocean circulation, and so on. Virendra reminded me that the NISA satellite, which is an ISRO mission, NASA ISRO mission, I think just in the last few days it's become operational. So that is an example of a satellite that actually will bring benefits to society, but also to science because of the innovative sensor technologies. But it has to go through a geodetic process. They have to calibrate it, you have to ground truth it, you have to compare it against other products, you have to work out what's the atmospheric distortions to those measurements. We're going to work out how to automate the processing, how to build in AI inferences, pattern recognition, and so on and so forth. So as you get a new sensor technology, it actually disturbs, like a ripple effect, a lot of what we've done previously. And that's really how science and the earth sciences are growing, and certainly geodesy reflected as one of them. We have a couple of projects called Quantum. Who doesn't do quantum? In fact, the idea of possibly using clocks to measure height is now an intriguing technology that we can see will be seeing major advances over the next decade. Now that'll do amazing things to the way we actually measure and monitor height. Because at the moment we've got a combination of gravimetric and geometric techniques, and sometimes we're not sure where the zero height is. AI, of course, and AI appears in several of the other earth sciences, and why shouldn't it? It's an algorithmic tool that can be applied to data and patterns to improve the interpretation. And it goes on, GNSS reflectometry, you haven't heard very much about it, but I think it's been around for possibly 2 decades, and I think we're reaching a point where it's actually going to be providing some very interesting Earth observation data. Synthetic aperture radar, I think in geodesy has not had as much uptake as I believe it should, And I think with missions such as NISAR and other constellations with other frequencies, we're going to be seeing INSAR being used a lot more. Then this whole area of geodesy and navigation leads this whole area into sort of the robotic side, the automation, much more into applications which are going to be literally in the street. And finally, I just got this slide here with capabilities. I'm not going to read through it. It's basically rephrasing what I've been saying in slightly different ways. Positioning, trajectories, orbit determination, mapping, monitoring, gravity and rotation and orientation. So we come back to the original mission of geodesy, which is to try to improve our understanding of the solid Earth, but it's not really solid, it's dynamic. Because many of these processes, many of these have signatures which have either geometric, rotational or gravitational characteristics. And because geodesy is focused on that, you look for those small signatures, therefore you're making your contribution to Earth science. And therefore it's very much technology driven. This is not about improving the theory, although of course it's important that it's there, but it's more exquisite sensors, better satellite missions, faster processing, data handling, analysis and so on. And in fact, the geodetic tools are now, well, decades ago, went beyond what was needed for national mapping, and now really are so accurate that they are the indispensable geoscience. That's why geodesists are working with seismologists, with volcanologists, with cryospheric scientists, because they are now using the tools to actually measure how things move or change shape or change their gravity signatures. But you need considerable infrastructure and cooperation for long-term monitoring. So that again comes back to what is the mission of the IUGG? It's to try to provide a sort of a structure, a brand name, if you like, by which we can try to get this sort of long-term commitments, this global cooperation, this investment, this infrastructure that is paid for by countries. It's not paid for by the Gates Foundation. It's not paid by commercial providers. It's not paid for by the UN. It's actually national agencies, national mapping, national geodesy agencies. So we've gone from an applied geoscience to having a whole bunch of operational capabilities, and I won't bother with that. There's also the business case with geodesy. As I said, the first part is what I've been focusing on up to now, which is understanding. And of course, if you have understanding, you hope that you can one day better predict volcanic eruptions, earthquake effects, natural hazards, as well as anthropogenic effects, by having systems that have been fine-tuned and operationalized. But it's also the foundation for the geospatial representation. Now, geospatial is undergoing its own revolution, and therefore, in a sense, geodesy is being pulled both ways. It's very successful as a geoscience with improvements in space technologies and quantum and so on. But in addition, because it's connected to geospatial and geospatial itself, using some of the tools of geodesy, principally positioning and the reference frames, it's also gaining greater and greater appreciation by the public and by politicians and decision makers. Okay, so the two of the, you can't see them in this slide, but the two arrows are to the two services that fundamentally are most visible and most important in the crossover, in the linkage with the geospatial world. One is the reference frames, or the reference system, And the other one is the International GNSS Service, which provides precise products and a global tracking network against which a lot of science and a lot of national reference frames, datums, are connected. We won't worry about the GNSS. We know about GNSS. GNSS is basically revolutionising geodesy as well as the geospatial world. I'm not here to give a lecture on GNSS. That's a list that you normally... Oh, time is up. Okay, sorry. I'll probably just have one or two more slides. I won't go right to the end. But what I want to make the point is people tend to look at GPS and they see their mobile phone. They see their car navigation system. But really, and this is where the link with geospatial is strongest, is in that sub-meter accuracy part of the spectrum, where you cannot just use GNSS on its own. You need augmentations. Different types of augmentations, differential positioning, SBAS, precise point positioning, carrier phase-based positioning, dual frequency, a whole bunch of things are happening. That is geodesy. So you can see it up here on the left-hand side, the highest accuracy. As you go across to the right, you start going into the other areas of the geospatial world. And the two trends that we currently can recognise, one is this increased demand for accurate positioning. But secondly, as we get more addicted to using GNSS, we now need a more resilient PNT, because we are seeing over the last few years particularly in conflict zones that electronic warfare and cyber warfare is really playing havoc with GNSS. So just as society and defence and security are taking advantage of this amazing technology, it's being challenged. So therefore this is the other trend, I think. Yeah. UN. And I'll leave it with that one there because Virendra sort of drew attention to the Indian National Geospatial Policy. And that's just a little bit of the preamble, and it captures very nicely why I think geospatial has moved beyond just maps for war or navigation or taxes and construction to basically becoming a key capability that is making a lot of society's activities function. So thank you very much. I would like to stop my presentation.
Can you take one or two questions?
Yes, of course.
Oh, thank you, Chris. Again, we have short of time, so can we take one or two pressing questions or comments? Otherwise,
I'll be here all 3 days, by the way, so I'm happy to discuss this with any of you.
Yeah, so we'll move on to the next presentation. Thank you, Chris, for traveling directly from airport to here after whole night travel. Now I would like to invite Dr. Ravichandran, Secretary, Ministry of Earth Sciences, to deliver his talk on blue economy. Very important mission and also the big initiative by Government of India. Dr. Ravichandran, Secretary to the Government of India, is PhD in physics. He worked in it's for the younger generation. Most of the people you are aware, but I would take the privilege of briefly telling what Professor Ravichandran has been over the 3 decades. He worked in several Ministry of Earth Science research institutions, known globally for his contribution to the polar and ocean research. We are more thankful to you, sir, for making it today, and also taking the shock of delay as a head of the family, agreeing to speak shorter than what has been earlier allotted. So we are very much grateful, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Tiwari, for inviting me. Of course, he told me to compress in 15 to 20 minutes, so you should not take more time. So already it has been planned for half an hour, so I will compress in 20 minutes. So what I want to present is basically what are the oceans of, in ocean, what are the opportunities exist, why we are not harnessing, and also what are the challenges we are facing in the ocean in order to harness or sustain or mitigating various hazards. So what are the resources and how we can do the blue economy, basically the ocean resources with the sustainability, and what are the way forward. And finally, if time permits, I will touch upon about the deep ocean mission. This is about the ministry. I will not go into detail. So when we talk about Viksit Bharat 2047, I think each one of us has to contribute for the national building. That means how we can contribute to the nation building. So each ministry also looking at it, how we can do. For that, one of the things which we are thinking in the earth science perspective, where we need to focus and where are the areas we can contribute. I personally feel that in total, everything, whatever you consider, first one is, of course, energy. Second one is water, then the food. These are the three areas we need for survival. Then the health, it is a very important thing. Now the problems will come, or we have to mitigate or various disease and all other things. So health will be one of the serious issues when we go forward. It is not only health of the human, but also health of the ecosystem. I mean, health of the ecosystem. Of course, health of the human is subset of health of the ecosystem. So these are the four drivers, or these are the four things we are aiming for in future. And these four elements also will change depending upon the global warming scenario or various climate change aspect. How this will be, it will change. And over and above, we need to have various hazards, how to mitigate, how to preparedness for that hazards. And also we need to keep the resources for the future generation, so we need to have a sustainability. So under all this activity, how we can contribute in the Ministry of Earth Sciences, that is what we are planning to do in the next coming years. So I don't want to read all the things. So these are the various activities which we are aiming in the coming years and for the Viksit 2047 objective. So when you come for the ocean, of course, you all know that the oceans have waves of opportunity, and but how we are utilizing this, that is very important, because whether we are equally we are harnessing or we are having a sustainably harnessing, that is the question. So what we don't know for harnessing, we need to understand the ocean better. But unfortunately, we are not in a position, or we have not understood the ocean very well, because we have only 5% of the ocean what we have observed. In 5% means it is a total. You have a physical variables, or whatever the unknown things are there, or biodiversity, what is exists, or what is the changes happened in the past, and it is happening and it will happen. We don't know many of the things, so we need to understand the ocean much better. That is the first one. Of course, there are SDG 14. This is what we can contribute to the SDG 14 under Sustainable Development Goal, and what things to do and what things not to do. That is the main objective. And when you talk about the resources and what are the opportunities, it is also bundled with a lot of challenges. So I personally feel that the challenges, there are three. One is climate challenges. Of course, it is due to various, what is the sea level rise and marine heat wave, coastal erosion, all these things are happening due to climate issue. And the non-climatic issues of stress is like man-made. Of course, this is also man-made. It is maybe long-term time scale is different, but this is like a marine litter and maybe over-exploitation of resources or oil spills and various other things. Then third one is the technology and how we can have what are the technology available to harness when we need to develop. We have a handicap in technology, some of the resource to harness. You take it gas hydrates or ocean minerals and other things. We don't have a technology, and there are about policy issues. What are the policy presently in the country is available and what is not available, so we need to develop some policy issue, and also over and above security issue also we have to consider. So I will just to one each point, one slide. What are the area, suppose when you talk about marine living resources, what are the area we need to attack, or what are the area we need to concentrate and focus and do. So each one slide for one resources. So when you talk about marine living resources, of course it is a protein requirement, food. First and foremost, we need to promote the deep sea fisheries. We have 1% of our GDP comes from the fisheries, but that all comes from the coastal aquaculture as well as a coastal, just about a 30-meter water depth. Beyond that, our fishermen doesn't go. Due to various reasons, it is also policy. We don't have deep sea fishing policy. Of course, the coming winter, the policy may be coming out in the parliament. So hopefully the deep sea fishing policy will come. Because of this issue only, we have most of the deep sea is going to be IUGG fishing. That means illegal fishing. So that is why nobody is going. Of course, somebody is going, but it is all illegal. And also we need to develop the ecosystem, seaweeds and seagrass type of things, because whenever you harness something, equally we have to put back. For that, seaweeds and seagrass is very good carbon, what is called neutralization. And also we need to have various technology, like a fish aggregation device, and also various cold infrastructure, cold chain infrastructure. All these things we need to, post-harvest management, these things we need to build in the coastal marine spatial planning in structure. And mariculture activities, which we are very infant stage, I think we need to focus on mariculture activities in order to improve this food ecosystem. And also lastly, Southern Ocean fisheries. So we have a Southern Ocean fisheries, we have large grill fisheries, tooth fisheries, and everything is available in India. We don't have a what is called, nobody is going there and making it, even though we have a sufficient quota available, but we are not able to harness the resources there. So that is also very important things which we need to. So these are some of the area we need to address in the coming years and months. And when you talk about energy, that is the second priority. When you talk about energy, the oceans having a lot of energy resources. You take it as floating solar panel, you take ocean current energy, and either it is Indian East Coast or West Coast, coastal currents are very strong, ocean thermal energy, offshore wind energy, wave energy, and also salinity gradient. Wherever the river meets the sea, where the salinity gradient is very high, we can generate the osmotic pressure, tidal energy. So various forms of energy we need to harness. Of course, we are not harnessing. Always I tell, ocean is basically a high investment, high risk, but highly rewarded. When it is highly rewarded, that is what we will have a flip will take place, the economics. And also there are other things, gas hydrates, and this is very far away. Even technology, we don't have how to harness this gas hydrates and other things. So this is the second thing. So for this, we need to develop a technology for various resources. Because we don't know in 3 decades before how the solar panel and solar energy will transform the country. We were not aware that time. It is costly, but now it is almost same. So unless we don't invest, we will not able to harness the ocean energy. And the third one is a freshwater. Of course, the freshwater conventional desalination is one, but at the same time, we also think about the various other type of technology, like one NIOT has developed. It is basically from the temperature gradient, we try to get what is called LTTD plant, where we can have not only fresh water, but also we can develop what is called that means other kind of products. Maybe this one, not only fresh water, but also energy you can get it. And also the ecosystem will grow, because the cold water you are bringing to the surface, that is a high nutrient rich water. That rich water can, if once it's come to the surface, you have a better productivity in terms of phytoplankton, and then the fisheries ecosystem will develop. So this one plant, if you are able to do efficiently in innovative way, still much innovative way, we can do 3 things: food, water, and also energy. All the 3 we can cater in this one plant. And of course, minerals in the ocean. Of course, this is mainly I'm talking about the deep ocean. In the deep ocean, we have now, as of now, we have 3 areas in the International Seabed Authority. We have licensed, we have contracted. I think we are now trying to find out the resources, how much is available, where it is available. But parallelly, we need to develop a technology. Some technology we have achieved, but still we need to do some of the technology in order to harness, either it is a polymetallic sulfides or polymetallic nodule or even cobalt crust. We need to develop a technology how to harness. But first, we are in the stages of to estimate the abundance in Indian Ocean. And the other important thing is shipping. So you all know that 90% of the volume of any of the material is transported via shipping. And it is actually the shipping is the lower, even though we are thinking about carbon neutral, this 1 gram carbon only is emitted for 1 kilogram of material to transport in 1 kilometer. But it is almost in road, it is about 100 grams. That means almost it is 100 gram, same amount. So it is a very safest carbon neutral aspect when you talk about shipping. In East India coastal current and West India coastal current, we are not utilizing the coastal currents, whatever is happening. So we need to utilize that currents for the navigation. Also, we need to go for optimum ship routing in wherever it is possible, so that we can make a carbon, not only carbon credit, but also safe and timely also, which is very advantage. And also coastal ecotourism. So we have a lot of geo-heritage and coastal, we have coastal morphology has given a lot of various opportunities to have tourism. But unfortunately, we have not much in that tourism. We have now started with the blue Blackfeet beaches. Now it is only a dozen. I think it should be at least hundreds and thousands of beaches has to be there in the India. Apart from we need to develop the oceanarium. India is such a big country with more than 11,000 kilometer coastline, but we don't have oceanarium. I think it is imperative that we need to develop a much more oceanarium. And finally, we have to bring, of course, these are one of the important destinations for the coastal tourism. That is what we need to think about in the coming years. And marine trade and services, many of the maybe the MSMEs are not in coastal town. I think we need to develop, even if you want to go for fish cook or net, we are importing from outside, as China or anywhere. We don't have any of these small scale industries to develop the small boat repair or maybe the hooks and nets and to be prepared. I think we need to develop more and more MSME all along the coast. When we plan for the coastal marine spatial planning or a town planning along the coast, we need to think about where we need to build this infrastructure, where we have to have an ecosystem, this MSME ecosystem we need to develop all along the coast, apart from many of the port and harbor things we need to make it. And next one is a marine biotechnology. The blue biotechnology is one of the important aspects, of course, the drug from the sea and various pharmaceuticals, how we can, because ocean, as I mentioned, it is a biodiversity so rich, even we don't know what are the biodiversity, full biodiversity. So if you go on do that research in that direction, I am sure that definitely, because the tropical countries fortunate have rich biodiversity, definitely we will have various pharmaceutical input for the humankind. Already there are many things in advanced stage, but I am sure that still the biotechnology component we need to put forth, in especially blue biotechnology we need to enhance in the coming year. That is why one of the deep ocean mission, this is the very thrust has been given in this direction. And of course, maritime security, Coast Guard and Navy and other things, we need to have a security all along our coast. For that, what we need to observe, how to monitor, we have to put in place that one. And also internationally, we need to work together, especially knowledge sharing as well as various technology and other things also we need to take on, because we need to have each sensor in marine we are importing. That's a big problem. You take instruments or sensors or anything we are importing. I think we need to start indigenization of various sensors and also various other, for especially it is defense related things. And we need to have investment in R&D, especially we need to go for what is called various innovation and technology adoption and other things. So actually country is looking for blue economy policy, we want to bring it. But each ministry, it is a multi-sectoral ministry. I think MoES will be spearheading in terms of Ministry of Shipping, Fisheries, Tourism, MNRE, and various ministries will be working together. Now each ministry has been given a pilot project to each one to please bring from the ocean resources in your term. So one of the project has been given to the Ministry of Earth Sciences is the Deep Ocean Mission. So Shipping Ministry, maybe Sagarmala, and also for Environment and Forest, it is a coastal mission. And Fisheries Ministry also, there is some Matsya program. So many things have been given. But hopefully this next 16th finance cycle in the early year, the blue economy policy will be able to emerge. At that time, I think we need to more and more do some innovative ideas to how do we harness the resources. And also we need to develop human resources all along the country, because I am sure that in the Deep Ocean Mission, I am happy that we have given various projects all over the country, from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, as well as from Bhavnagar to Arunachal Pradesh. We have given many universities and institutions we have given. We want to bring the ecosystem of ocean, or all the university, even if it is a Kashmir or in Arunachal Pradesh, they should think about the ocean. So that is the way we have started. I think many of the projects already we have rolled out, and many more will come in the next 16th finance cycle. So ultimately, we need to have a blue economy policy. Vision is sustainable utilization of blue economy resources for economic growth of the country, as well as ensuring the health, safety, and diversity of our ecosystem. Basically, blue GDP we need to improve, and we need to mitigate various hazards, especially oceanic hazards, cyclone, tsunami, or storm surges, marine heat wave, various hazards. How do we mitigate? And we need to have a sustainability in place, because it has to be kept in the future generations. And also we need to develop a marine-based, science-based solution, especially where we need to build the mangrove, where we need to build the coral reef, because sustainable solution also parallelly we need to develop, and it should be an interministerial effort. It is not only interministerial, but also we need to have academia and also industries, we have to chip it together so that we can realize this policy vision. So ultimately, what is the key deliverable is the present GDP, whatever we are getting from blue growth, fisheries, shipping, all these things put together, that we need to double, or now it is a single digit. We need to take it to double digit. That is our prime goal. And for that, we need to do various solutions, technology, and various measures. We need to do that. And this is a way forward which we have to think about. We have to observe the ocean, because as I mentioned, it is only we have 5% we have observed. So we need to have a physical, chemical, biological, various aspects we need to observe. And we need to develop a coastal marine spatial planning, like a town planning. And we need to explore and identify various resources, not only mineral resources or living resources or non-living resources, where are it is available, how dynamically various season it is changing. All these things we need to map it, and we need to develop a technology for harnessing as well as mitigation as well as the sustainability. Then finally we have to make an ecosystem-based solution. And basically all these things possible only if you have a more and more collaboration within the system, outside the country, and various branches of community we need to work together. Then only we can have a more and more resources from the ocean, not only ocean, but also we need to have a clean and healthy and resilient ocean in the coming years. So for that, the Deep Ocean Mission, basically it is a 6 vertical. One vertical is a technology to develop. How do we develop a technology for harnessing ocean resources? Second vertical is a climate aspect, how when the climate change is happening, how our coastal structure or how the climate, due to variation of global warming, how our coastline will change or erode. And the third vertical is biodiversity. And the fourth vertical is exploring non-living resources. And the fifth vertical is energy and water. And the sixth vertical is ocean biology mainly, and also some of the capacity building objective. So these are the various missions we have planned. So it is there in detail, but I will skip that. Finally, this is a Earth Science vision. Maybe I put this one because I want input from all of you. in earth science, how we can contribute to the national growth. So this is some of the things which we have thought about it. In atmosphere, we want to go for better weather forecast for various aspects, not only forecast, but also we want to go for weather modification, then later on weather management. And for the ocean, we want to go for the blue economy, double the GDP. And the polar, we want to be a leader in a significant player, not only science as well as geopolitics and strategic. And the geoscience, we want to go for early earthquake warning and also exploration of various non-living resources, and also some of the curiosity-driven questions to be addressed in the geosciences. For all these things, we need to observe more, we need to understand more, we need to develop various models and various things, and finally, we need to produce various products and services. So we need to do more science, and also we need to translate that science, whatever we do, to the services for the benefit of society. With this, of course, this is a amount of effort is required in terms of three scenes. We have fortunate to have one bay, one sea, one ocean. So ocean amount of resources, we need to get it. For that, we need to put more effort. This much effort, we need to put more. And sea amount of sustainability, we need to sustain. For sustainability, we need to, what are the things to be done that we need to think about in next bullet, and also parallelly, we have a bay. At that amount, we need to have a effort and preparedness for various hazards, mitigate how to do that. With this, I thank you once again for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you very much. And sorry, sir, if you permit, we will close. And sir is available here, so we can interact with him during lunchtime or during tea time. So we will start our inaugural session very soon, and therefore we have to close this. Thank you very much, all. And I greatly appreciate all of you coming in time and being with us. To all three chairs, the speakers of the plenary session, Professor Rizos, Dr. Shivkumar, and Dr. M. Ravichandran. Incidentally, two of them had directly drove from the airport to the session and enlightened us with a lot of new knowledge and the vision for the future of geoscience, which can make our lives sustainable. Thank you very much. We close the session.
Thank you all the speakers for sharing your valuable insights. As we conclude the first plenary session, now we proceed with the felicitation. I request Dr. V.M. Tiwari to felicitate the plenary speakers with a token of gratitude. May I first invite Dr. Shivkumar Kalyanaraman to receive the token of appreciation. Next, I invite Dr. Rizos to come forward and receive the memento. Now I invite Dr. M. Ravichandran to receive the token of appreciation.
You give it to me, I will give it to you. This is for the chair.
Thank you so much, sir. Now we proceed for the inauguration of Exhibition Hall by Dr. K. Shivkumar, Kalyanaraman and Dr. M. Ravichandran, followed by high tea arranged at the ground floor. Please make sure to gather here back by 11:15 a.m. And there is a small announcement. Poster stands are arranged at the corridor at the first floor. Participants are requested to paste their posters during the break session.
So what is here?
Maybe some exhibition. These oceanographic. Quickly, so this is what this polymetallic.
At what height, what depth?
This is where Andaman 1000 meters, and this is Central Indian Ocean. There it is 5,000.
How did you collect it?
This is
Autonomous.
no, dredging. But this is what we are looking at development of that mining machines. That is it. So
How did you collect that 5,500 meters?
no, that goes, that machine goes, not the cable. Umbilical, what is that? Umbilical cable.
And you collect from the top.
From the ship. It will go there and it will come. But actually what we have to do is, it has to pump automatically. The pump there development. That's all. These are all identified. And then you put it. After identifying only we got this.
Percent where it's very useful when to map these oil prices, sediments, when the upper layer is the Dakar trap. Because we know the Dakar trap, this is a modeling. This is a modeling. This is the technique development layers. So you have that data of all the raw, all the.
He is actually director of.
I can use also AI for this.
But you're not finding the very
No, already they are doing. What is that? We will come back.
Can you visit?
When you visit that time,
Sir, actually the program, that Argo float, I think it is started.
What does it measure?
This is soil moisture, salinity, moisture, salinity,
Of the soil.
Yeah, good. So what are you selling here?
Your new one was being constructed.
days go. No problem.
ನಾನು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ರೋಸ್ ಹೋಗಿ